Hello there, this is Anthony Johnson, and this is episode 10 of SQL Interview Prep. Is it possible to drop the identity column? The answer is yes. Although it's not really a common practice, because typically the identity column is the primary key because every row is uniquely identified with that identity column. But I will show you how to appropriately drop a identity column. So, just some little extra information you can get an interviewer. So if you see here, we have a table, 2 columns. I have 3 values I'm about to insert into there. Let's execute that. 3 columns affected. Now let's check our rows. Now, as you can see, we have 3 identities, or 3 IDs, I should say, because we have 3 records. So now let's begin our journey, because it's several steps to properly drop an identity column. So first thing first, we're going to alter the table. Just copy and paste this. And then we're going to we're going to call it test ID. We're going to give it a data type of int. So we're going to execute that. Alrighty, now we have our fresh column in there. Let's take a peek. Okay, all in all, which is fine. Now, next step is to update set. So what we're going to do is we're going to update our table name once again. We're going to set test ID equals to ID. IntelliSense hasn't picked up on that yet, so I'm going to do a quick Control-Shift-R. And there we go. So now let's set our new column to the values of the identity column. And it looks like we have that. Let me just take a peek. As you can see, we have our corresponding IDs. So now the last step, alter table, our table name, and then drop. And our column name that we're trying to drop is this ID column. So we'll do ID and execute that. Cannot drop constraint. There we go. My apologies, forgot a keyword. So it's drop column. Let's take a peek at our table one more time. And as you can see, of course, anytime you add a new column, it's always going to be towards the far right of the table, meaning it's going to be the last column. So now, since we can't do anything about that, what we're going to do is I have this execute rename down here. Okay, I already have it filled out. So essentially, SP rename is used to rename any object within our databases. So in this case, we are going to rename this column. So you see we have column in single quotes. We have our table name, delimited by a period. Our column is test ID. We want to change test ID to the ID column, to the ID name. and it's a column. So essentially that's how that reads. Execute that. Changing any part of an object name could break scripts and stored procedures, which is fine because we don't have any scripts and stored procedures tied to this table. But even if you do, I'm pretty in the real world, I'm pretty sure you'll have things more structured out, but this is solely a video to, I suppose you could say, win brownie points. To show your true knowledge. It's typically a little softball. Knock it out the park, essentially. So now let's look at our table one last time. And as you can see, we have a name table, we got a name column and an ID column. If you look up here, when we first created the table, it was ID and name, but we have successfully dropped the identity column. And just to be sure, execute SP help. Then we're actually just going to drop our table name here within some single quotes. Let's bring up the information. And as you can see, no identity column is on this table. This is the table that we have been working on. We have successfully dropped it. And we have set those identity column values to another column, which was our test ID column, but we named it ID. So just for a quick recap, is it possible to drop identity column? For sure it is. It's not really a common practice, but this is how you do it. You will add a new ID column. You will alter your table, add a new ID column. Second step is to update that new column. So you're going to set your table that has that identity column. You're going to set your new column to the values of the identity column. And then your next step, you're going to alter the table and drop that ID column, the old identity column. And then the last step is to run your execute SP rename to rename your table or your column. So it's going to be execute SP rename dbo.your table dot your column name that you're renaming, separated by a comma, and single quotes your new column name, separated by a comma, and the actual structure that you're dealing with, that you're trying to rename. In our case, it was column. And that is all the steps right there. So I hope this was helpful. I hope you guys have a great day, and bye-bye.